We've talked about it a number of times, the Western Canada Professional Hockey Scouts Foundation celebrating Indigenous hockey coming up September 30th here in Regina at the Connexus Arts Center. One of the guests and one of the speakers that will be here is Craig Button, TSN analyst, hockey analyst. Craig's been on the show before. Craig, thanks so much for doing this today. Let's start with the Western Canada Scouts Foundation, Professional Scouts Foundation. Like scouting and hockey, you've been around the game a long time. You've scouted, you've done all that. This has been a long time coming, something like this, to recognize scouts and across Western Canada, but we need it for the whole country.
You're exactly right. I think that when you first mentioned recognizing the scouts, it's a job that there's only one way to do it. The rubber has to hit the road. And it's a job where the scouts are dedicated, they're passionate, they're trying to find players that can help their affiliated NHL clubs compete for a Stanley Cup. That's what they're in it for. And a lot of nights, a lot of miles, like driven. And it's a selfless job. And I think there's been so many wonderful scouts over the years that we've recognized with the Western Canadian Professional Hockey Scouts Foundation and the current scouts who continue to do just fantastic work. And so the acknowledgement and recognition for the scouts' work is one thing, but because we're in all the communities and we see and are going and spending time in these communities, we want to make sure that we can give back to the communities. We not only want to recognize the scouts, help the scouts in their times of need, but also in the communities. We see a lot of barriers to entry for participation, not only in hockey, but in sport. So if we can raise money to help our fellow scouts in their times of need, to help communities and young people participate in sport, then we've done, and that's what we set out to do, then we will be able to look back and say that we've accomplished a lot of things. A new development, the National Hockey League is going to be a significant part of our day recognizing Indigenous hockey players in Regina on the day of Truth and Reconciliation, September 30th in Regina. They're not trying. Every effort they make is to try to make hockey for everybody. And, for them to partner with us on this wonderful event is just something that I think gives us not only great optimism moving forward, but also showing that what we're doing has legs and that people want to be involved with us. And that's ultimately the goal. When Garth Malarchuk set out to do this, the chairman, and I think there's a big smile on his face with what we've been able to accomplish to date.
September 30th, like I said, at the Connexus Arts Center, special guests Jordan Tutu, Brian Trottier, Dave Tiger Williams, the King brothers from Meadow Lake, John Morasti, Ron DeLorme, Rich Pilon, Brent Dodging Horse. Like, what a crew, just to be able to hear some of those stories. I'm going to put you on the spot, and this might be a little bit tough. Those names I mentioned, when I mention those names, is there a story, is there a memory that comes up for you for any of those players?
Well, I think there's lots of memories. I mean, there are players that not only, like in the case of Brian Trottier, Ronnie DeLorme, some players are older than myself. Brian Trottier, I mean, he won the Stanley Cup 7 times, 6 as a player, 1 as an assistant coach. Everything that he did in the game. And, you watch how hard he competed. Yeah, Ron DeLorme, who's been just an unbelievable influence on the Western Canadian Professional Hockey Scouts Foundation, but also on Indigenous youth and Indigenous people in Western Canada. And somebody that, when you think about the toughness that Ronnie displayed, the kindness that he has exhibited over the course of his life and continues to exhibit on a daily basis is just tremendous. Brett Dodging Horse, who was just recognized by the NHL for his involvement and efforts. These are all players that, when I was scouting, I watched Brett Dodging Horse. I watched the King brothers. You're watching Jordan Tutu, who's really been an influential person for a lot of people. I mean, you think about Jordan coming down from the far north to try to pursue his dreams and achieving some of his dreams. They're just wonderful. The stories that I have about them are going to pale in comparison to the stories that they have. the stories that they have of people that touch them and help them, and that they're trying to work to help and make sure that, young people can not only dream, but can have a realistic path to achieving those dreams. I think that's what makes everybody so special in that regard. That's going to be at the banquet in Regina.
It's going to be amazing, and I think you got the dodging horse, and I just remembered a memory. You said you scouted him, how he was young. He must have been just 16, winning the Royal Bank Cup with the Vernon Vipers against Melfort. And we have had Trevor Blevins, coach of the Melfort Mustangs, on this program a long time. I was my first year junior. I remember that Melfort had no business losing this hockey game. It was a one-game showdown in Melfort, and it was Jeff Cheeseman, Brett Dodging Horse. I forget the goaltender for Vernon. Great stories all around the table. I wanted to ask the scouting part. When you go back and scout your days scouting, early days, maybe even before you, what's the biggest thing that's changed? Obviously there's been a lot of things that changed, but everything's so readily available now online, and you can watch kids everywhere. But you mentioned that the rubber's got to hit the pavement, and you got to get out and see these kids live. Like, what are the major changes for scouts right now?
I believe that I think there's two things that have really helped. I think that technology with respect to video, how you collect data, how you share data, has really helped. I mean, you used to write out your reports. I remember Ken Holland. The tournaments used to end over in Europe. And Kenny was the chief scout for the Detroit Red Wings, and he'd come in with binders of all the reports that were like this wide, and that's what he traveled with, going through the reports, trying to get prepared for the meetings. You don't have to do that anymore. With the computer scouting programs that are available, readily available, you can manage data. You get it instantaneously. You don't have to do a report, send it in, have it read, and everything now. So that type of technology has been really tremendous. The video has also been really good too. I'm a big believer that you got to start by watching the players. If you're using video as your primary source and your first source of watching players, I think that you're missing a lot. But as a secondary source, and I'll give you an example. So me and you go to games and we watch a player and we really like a player. And it used to be, I don't think his skating is that good. And you're going, no, he's a good skater. Don't worry about it, right? Well, now we can just pull up the video and we can watch it together. And you can say, here's what I'm thinking. I go, okay, yeah, I didn't see that, right? So the collaboration that works, and video is part of the technology, but I really think that has afforded a more thorough examination of the players. And then the exchange of information, collection of information has helped people really be on top of it. And you don't have to you have time. You can say, you get a report, you go, geez, we really like this guy, but Barney went last night, he didn't like what he saw. And you might have had to wait weeks to get to that point. We're talking mere hours now. And now you can get to you can make sure that you're spending your time effectively and wisely. I'll be really clear. There's 27 weekends you got to scout during the course of a season in hockey. 27 weekends. You better figure out how you're going to use those 27 weekends. And that's Thursday to Sunday. So the 3-4 days in there, call it 3.5 days. That's 100 days. Mm-hmm. You better make sure you're using those 100 days wisely, because if you're not, and you're chasing your tail and you don't know what you're chasing, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And this is not a mistake-free business, regardless of how well you're using your 100 days.
I'm curious to get your take. This isn't NHL scouts, but now major junior scouts, and how things are going to change for them. What's your take on now with the CHL athletes being able to go play NCAA? What have you heard? What do you think about how hard it's going to be? How much more you have to work as a junior scout now, scouting kids that you might have for, how many years we're going to have this kid? Are we getting these American kids? I've talked to a couple of teams around here. They've never seen this many American kids coming to camp. So there's a change right there. What are your thoughts on that, Craig?
The doors have opened for everybody now. I know, talking to college scouts, let me take a step back. I think the Western Hockey League scouts, scouting 14-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids, I think it's the hardest scouting on the planet. Because you're going and watching kids at that age, and I say this to parents, there's 4,000 kids at 14 years of age that are really good around the world. And in 4 years' time, that number will be reduced to about 125. And so you're trying to weed out who, like the junior teams, 18 years old, you're still playing junior hockey. You're trying to weed out at that age who is going to be able to come in and help your team. So I think that scouting has been, in my view, the hardest of any scouting done. Now, when we talk about doors opening, I think that for the college scouts and for the junior scouts, they don't have to go into a 14-year-old or just 15-year-old player's home and try to convince the player what is best for them. Because the path is different for everybody. Can you imagine trying to convince somebody at 14 or 15 that college hockey in 3 or 3.5 years' time is best for you? They don't know what's going to be best for them in 3.5 hours, let alone 3.5 years. And so now the kids can go, well, no, I'm going to go play in the Western Hockey League. I'm going to go play. I can go test myself there. I don't have to wait. I don't have to think about where. And then you can see, do I want to go play in the NCAA? And it's going to work the other way too. You talk about the U.S. kids. They're now going to say, we're going to come and play in the CHL and then see where it takes us. The NCAA prohibited the players. Kelly McCrimmon prohibited the players from playing junior college hockey after playing junior. Kelly McCrimmon played 3 years in Brandon and he went and finished it again. And he wasn't the only one. But now that opportunity to go, and I know there's a lot of concern, the 18-year-olds are going to leave. There was only 33 17 and 18-year-old kids playing in the NCAA last year. College coaches continually tell me, and I know it's true, it's really hard. So I think at 19, mostly at 20, you're going to see the players have different opportunities. I'll tell you a quick story. Jonathan Fauchon, who played for the Rimouski Oceanic in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. He was a 20-year-old, didn't get drafted, hadn't been signed. He's going to Providence. I can almost guarantee you that in 2 years' time, if he continues to play the way he's shown me, he'll be signed to an NHL contract at 22 years of age, if he wants to. I don't think that opportunity would have existed if he would have gone and played, if he didn't have the opportunity to go play at Providence and play in the NCAA. Mm-hmm. So I think it opens up doors. It opens up lots of different options for the players both ways. And I think everybody's going to have to work through it. There's going to be a lot greater understanding of what it means and how to work through it over the course of the next few years. Nobody has all the answers right now, but I do believe that having more doors open for the players is going to be way better and benefit everybody for the most part.
We've it's been well documented, the Gavin McKenna number, the alleged number. Roger McQueen, guy from Saskatoon and right here in Sasky. A lot of people are starting to talk about now what happens when Maddox Schultz, when that comes up, that he's got the chance to go to NCAA or major, like the money. Have you heard anything? And I've been wanting to ask somebody with deep knowledge, how are they making this work? Because as a Canadian going to school in the States, you can't just make money. So have you heard how they're circumventing this to get these guys paid at all?
I do not know how it works. I do not know the mechanics of it. And so you talk about Gavin McKenna. So I mean, he's a very, very unique player. He's a unicorn, and certainly, going to Penn State and playing in the NCAA, the Western Hockey League goes, geez, this is a player that we could have had. But if I rewind this and think about it in a different way, Macklin Celebrini very well would have come and played in the Western Hockey League, as would have Jonathan Toews, as would have Cale Makar, instead of saying, well, I can't go there because I want to go to college. Well, they could have come and played in the CHL, the Western Hockey League, and played for 2-3 years before they went to the NCAA. Like, it's going to cut both ways. Yeah. Like Macklin Celebrini and Cale Makar, they're great players. Like Jonathan Toews. Imagine that the Western Hockey League, we're going to have those guys playing for in the Western Hockey League. Yeah, there's going to players. Roger McQueen is going. Cole Reshny, Keaton Verhoff, Gavin McKenna. We know that they're going. So, but there's going to be other good players coming the other way, and there's going to be other good players at 16. They're saying, you know what? I might want to go to school, but I don't have to worry about that right now. I'm going to come and play with an opportunity to participate in a really good program in the highest league. Why did the players go play Junior A, Canadian Junior A, whether it be the Saskatchewan Junior League because that was their path to the NCAA. Yeah. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
you go play in the CHL, and I think you're going to see a lot of good players that may have gone Junior A. Now they're going to play in the CHL, and that's a benefit. So
that's a good point.
Said, it cuts both ways. And there's going to be a lot of ancillary benefits for the Canadian Hockey League as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I haven't heard many people talk about. Let's end on this. It's Craig Button joining us here on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. I think the last time we talked, you were a big proponent in the World Junior team and Hockey Canada needing a consistent voice, a consistent leader maybe there. They get it with Al Miller, who is with our Regina Pats. Now he's there. Just, does it make you happy to have that, I guess, finally now? Secondly, there's got to be enormous pressure on Al after what happened last year.
Yeah, like a couple things that I would say. I think that the people that formed the management group in previous years poured every single effort they could to helping the team be the best they could, select the best players. But having somebody full-time, and it's not just full-time for the junior team. Al has the background now of kids at 16, 17, 18, coming through the program of excellence, and you got a background. And I think that's going to be a real benefit. If you're just going out to catch a player, to see a player, and for 2 games he doesn't play very well, that can skew you. But what that also can do is say to you, like, we missed a player or we missed 2 players. Al now can say, listen, that kid's too good. He had 2 bad games. I'm not worried about it, right? And I think that what I call institutional knowledge is something that's going to really benefit the junior program. That being said, the competition is fierce, and everybody saves their best for Canada. And I think that when you can watch and understand how players have responded under pressure, and then you can say, hey, these are the guys that give us the best chance. And remember, it's the best chance for 10 days. It's not who's going to have the best NHL career. It's who gives us the best chance to compete for a gold medal for 10 days. And I think by having Al in that position, I think that it'll be a real benefit to Hockey Canada.
Right on. Okay. Well, we can continue this conversation September 30th. Maybe, Craig. Thanks so much for taking time here. Looking forward to the event. And again, just have a good weekend in sunny Calgary.
I will have a great week, and thanks for having me. And really encourage everybody to be in attendance on September 30th. Also, I would be remiss in not mentioning the Brandt Group of Companies is also a sponsor of that event. So, Regina's own Brandt Group is going to be there as well as the NHL. So it'll be a great night, and you'll hear some great, wonderful stories that really that will inspire you. I guarantee it.